anyone can buy them.
Definitely.
Why do you think Google is doing it this way today? I mean, it's not the full-on consumer launch, which is supposed to happen later this year, but now anyone can buy them.
Well, I think this is part of what they started the last month with having it available just for one day. I think Google is seeking sort of better ambassadors for this product, because up until now, the main people with Glass have been marketers, people who basically have a big interest in self-promotion. And I think Google really wants more regular people, people who want to lifelog their events, to get pictures of their kids and share them and help word of mouth for the product in that way.
So you're wearing Glass, I'm wearing Glass. It certainly has some cool features, but I don't find myself reaching for it all the time. It's like a new habit that has to be developed, and it's not natural. How would you feel about it?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's funny, I was wearing Glass once and I asked someone for the time and they looked at me like, you're wearing Google Glass, you don't know the time? There's definitely a habit you need to sort of get into in using the product. But once you do, it does have a lot to offer, particularly when you want to take some photos, share them very quickly on Twitter, Facebook. Glass is ideal for that. And when other apps come, such as Instagram is probably going to happen at some point, although nothing's been announced, I think it's just going to be much more natural. I mean, there's these very quick shareable moments that you can capture with Glass and share out that I think after you sort of do them once or twice, it becomes a very, oh yes, why wouldn't I want this sort of on my face?
I wonder, though, I've had people tell me they don't think this will ever go mainstream. Do you think this is going to be for a select group of sort of tech hobbyists, or more use in the enterprise? Or do you think that regular consumers are going to want to buy this en masse?
Well, I think enterprise certainly. I think enterprise has a very strong interest in this kind of product because having the instant access to crucial information in a hands-free environment, that is sort of a proven thing. That is very, very helpful for many professions. For the mainstream, I think Google does have bigger designs, though. They want it to go mainstream. But for the mainstream, I really think Google needs to do a rethink on the design. One of the things about Glass, and then many people have written about this, it kind of looks like, and I am hesitant to even say it, a Segway on your face. It really just attracts a certain amount of attention. Just on the way here, 2 or 3 people stopped me and asked me about it. And they're very excited and very polite, but it's a telegraph that you are wearing technology. And I think in subsequent generations, I think Google's going to want to sort of dial back this ostentatious design. And then I think you might have something that's mainstream. In its current form, probably not.
I have to say I am hesitant to wear these in public. Brian Womack, also our Bloomberg News reporter who covers Google, is joining us now on the phone from Palo Alto. He just actually took a test drive in Google's driverless car. Obviously, Brian, they've been testing the cars now for years. I've driven in one of them myself. That was 3 years ago now. What's it like today? How smooth is the ride?
It's very smooth, and they wanted to show them off in particular to reporters yesterday because they have really been tackling this issue of getting them to work on surface streets, not just on freeways, but on surface streets, navigating the red lights, the yellow lights, the pedestrians, the bicyclists, all those things. And when I was in there, it did a pretty good job. I was impressed. It was more gentle, I guess you could say, than I might have expected.
So that's interesting because I remember when I rode in the car 3 years ago, it was a little bumpy. The braking was a little abrupt. I mean, would you say this is closer to being ready for prime time?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some good and bad, I guess you could say. Well, there was one stop it came to in particular where it was such a nice, soft stop. It was just very well done. Your driver's ed teacher would have been proud of you. But on the flip side, there was another time where it gave a lot of following distance to the car in front of us because of some other issues going on around a railroad track, which I don't think most of us would give that much space. So there's a lot of progress here, but it isn't, perfectly analogous to a human driver yet.
Pete, how does this all add up? Driverless cars, Google Glass, the robot companies. Is Google becoming more of a hardware company? And I should mention, obviously, their foray into smartphone hardware with Motorola Mobility didn't quite work out so well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think the hardware is kind of secondary to the bigger picture that Larry Page sees. Larry Page is a 10x kind of guy. We want things that will improve your life 10x. Really big, ambitious projects is what Google wants to undertake, and these all sort of reflect that. Now, by that nature, though, you are going to be getting more into hardware. Now, with Motorola, that was a very complicated thing because it had to do with patents and sort of licensing IP, and they didn't really want to become just focused on cell phones. So I think that kind of thing will still drive Google, but hardware is going to be part of what they do, not the whole picture.
And quickly, one last question for you, Brian. I know that Google is speaking with automakers about self-driving cars. Can you give us an update on those discussions?
Well, they were not, forthcoming with a lot of details, but they did say yesterday, yes, we are having talks about driverless cars with a lot of manufacturers, but this is still a ways off. We were still talking about, 4, 5, 6 year time horizons yesterday. So a lot to be talked about and worked through before these things really hit the mainstream.